What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. It's your boy Marty Bent here, sitting down with Matt Odell for another edition of Rabbit Hole Recap. It is Thursday, March 4th, around 3:30 on the Beast Coast. The price of Bitcoin, according to the trade block XBX index, is $3,868.68. Matt, what block are we at?
566,088.
Nice. Getting closer to the halving. Block, what is it, 630,000? Yeah?
One block at a time.
One block at a time. Stacking blocks. We got a lot of topics today. Before we get into those, quick shout out to our sponsors. First off, we got Honey Miner. You guys know all about Honey Miner. They're a favorite of ours to help you guys stack sats. Easy one-click download of mining software on any spare GPU or CPU hardware you have lying around. What Honey Miner does is it finds the most profitable chain to mine at any given point in time, mines that chain, and then auto dumps it for BTC and divvies out Satoshis to the miners on the network. We have a special ref link there, stackingsats.com. You can go check out Honey Miner there. If you don't want to support us, you can just go to honeyminer.com, but we prefer you go to stackingsats.com. Also, next up, new sponsor. Shout out to the new sponsors. Always like when we get new sponsors. Next sponsor up is Unchained Capital. Unchained, for you freaks don't know, a company down in Texas. They're coming out with a multi-signature vault. I actually tested it the other day, and it was really sleek. We've been talking a lot about multi-sig UX on this podcast in particular. I think Unchained has definitely improved the UX a little bit. It will be a 2 of 3 multi-sig, 100% cold storage, supporting Trezors and Ledgers, and designed for users to remain sovereign, controlling 2 of 3 keys. There will be a live demo of the product at the Austin Bitcoin Developers Meetup on Monday, March 11th. That's 4 days from now. If you're down in South by Southwest in Austin and you want to see this demoed live at the Austin Bitcoin Meetup, that's where it's going to be demoed next week. Again, March 11th at the Bitcoin Meetup in Austin. Bitcoin Developers Meetup, excuse me. Our boy Justin Moon leads that meetup. He's been on this podcast before. Great dude. Very excited to see this product demoed. If you're in person, you can see it in person. They'll also be streaming it online. We'll get you guys a link to that eventually. It'll be on Twitter. Matt, what a fucking week.
Dude, the jackpot was fucking dope. Well done.
Thank you, sir. It was surreal. It was surreal.
And I really like that picture. It was a badass picture.
Photo credit goes to Miles. Shout out Miles.
There you go. Miles is the man.
No, yeah, it was a surreal experience. I felt like when it was all said and done, we recorded for 31 minutes. I think he was in the room for 35 minutes, and
He's all business. He's all business, that Jack.
All business. When it was all said and done, I felt like Will Ferrell at the end of Old School when he's debating and he like wakes up. He's like, I just blacked out. What happened? That's essentially what happened. No,
it felt, everyone was disappointed that he only gave us a half hour, but that was like the densest half hour ever. It felt a lot longer. So well done on that account.
Thank you. I was very cognizant of pushing the conversation forward, not going off on too many tangents, though I would have liked to. But it has been interesting to see the sort of lesson I'm taking from this is firsthand experience of experiencing fake news.
Everyone just jumped on that one quote taken out of context.
Well, it wasn't even a quote. What happened was like people went on Twitter and like basically knew that Jack had never said $10,000 in.
He said he limited it out on Cash App.
Yes, and then Bitcoiners, of course, made us abreast to the fact that the limit is $10,000, and the mainstream ran with that and just assumed that he's buying 10K every week.
Jack's just balling out, man.
Stacking sats.
I mean, besides the point, like, I'd be so frustrated if I was Jack and I was getting limited on my own company. I was like, when I first heard because you gave me like a sneak peek of it. When I first heard the quote, I was like, there's no way that his own company Jack is such a, fraud risk, right? Like they need to have a limit on his like an account. It was kind of nice that he plays by the same rules, I guess. Yeah,
that, or maybe it was just like a sly remark to hint that he doesn't like the limit for anybody. Who knows?
Meanwhile, like the next day, while you're on the plane coming back, he stacked sats and wasn't limited out, right?
Yep, he stacked sats, $29.
It's completely random, 29. I guess that's a code for something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's the year we hit the 1 cent, 1 Satoshi parity.
That would be interesting.
2029.
2029, a decade away. Wouldn't surprise me.
$1 million Bitcoin is what the 1 cent Satoshi parity would be.
That would be $100 million, wouldn't it? Oh,
No, because
No.
it's 1 cent.
yeah, I'm
There's
wrong.
100 million satoshis
Yeah,
in
I'm
Bitcoin.
wrong. I'm wrong. I thought it was $1 for a second.
Well, that'd be crazy talk for 2029.
Yeah. No, and then he drew on Satoshi's place too.
Yeah, and he drew a borderline irresponsible thing too. He did the Bitcoin to the exit, right?
No, he didn't draw that. He just
He
tagged,
didn't do the Bitcoin to the exit.
No, he tagged at Jack like right
That was
above it.
that was all he did was the add Jack at the
I know
top.
we can only assume.
I like to think that he did the man running to the Bitcoin exit door. And I was like, I saw that. I was like, wow, Jack, you're trying to institute some FOMO going on here.
Yeah, and, we can only assume. I don't know if you want to assume he did.
I'm just going to assume that's what he did.
Okay.
I feel like that's what most people got out of it. So
Yeah, no, it was a fun.
either way, that's what people think he did, I think.
Yeah. No, but it was a fun experience. We've been talking about Jack for a while, and I'm sure it's a worn out topic on this podcast, but it was cool experience. Sit down and speak with him in person. And like I said, I would have loved to like jump down a bunch of other rabbit holes with him, but the time constraint just forced me to push forward. It was really cool. Happy it happened. I hope you freaks liked it. I hope it's good for the mainstream too. I think he did like a very good job of creating like a grander vision, or not a grander vision, like or describing the grand vision.
Well, yeah, and he helped our pod move up on the rankings on iTunes.
That too.
Spread the Bitcoin mind virus some more, right?
Yeah, that I got a text from a couple people whose parents had said, "Hey, I listened to this podcast, and I'm like open to Bitcoin now." Apparently, it's turning some older minds. Happy to see that.
I mean, I told my parents that you recorded with Jack. It was like a nice validation in the middle of a bear market to bring it back to them. Look, I'm not like a complete fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know if my parents have. They may still think I'm a fuck up. I'm not sure yet. They may just think like, "What the hell? How did this happen?"
I sent the picture to my mom, and she's like, "Is Marty the one on the left or the right?" And I was just like, you take what you can get.
Yeah, I doxed myself there. Yeah, you guys know I have blonde hair now. Moving on though to another topic, heavy topic. Pretty fucked up what's going on in Canada,
But it should be expected.
right? So is it the Treasury doing this, or just like the Canadian government?
So it says on the tweet, right? Do you see it?
You don't link to the tweet. I only have.
My bad. So anyway, Canada is sending out audit questionnaires to known Bitcoin and crypto holders, asking them it's the Canada IRS, the Canadian Revenue Agency. They're asking, how much Bitcoin you own, how much crypto you own. They're asking people to disclose addresses, which is something that I've theorized a lot behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't really talked publicly about it a lot because there's like a fine line here where like I'm not trying to advocate for anyone to like break laws or anything like that. I've had a couple people poke me about that today.
What do you mean? With the wasabi shit that you were recommending?
No, like the point is like pretty much every government in the world in the near future is gonna put laws on their books that asks you to disclose addresses. And all I'm saying is that when that happens, it should be more of a voluntary process. Like you should, disclose what comply with your laws, but disclose what you want to disclose. Don't have like a gun to your head. And like people don't realize like how much information they're leaking out there, and it's the natural the natural progression here is they ask you to disclose addresses, and then if you don't disclose an address that they know about, then they throw the book at you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so like nanny state shit though. It's like crazy. I can't imagine ever handing over. I mean, it could definitely happen here in the U.S. having to hand over a list of addresses that I own.
I mean, look, it's going to get messy. It's not easily enforceable. There's no way to prove you don't own a certain amount of Bitcoin.
You didn't lose a private key.
Right. Yeah. You can prove that you own a certain amount if you want to.
Yes.
But there's no way to definitively prove that you don't. So it's going to be messy, but they'll do it on like a case by case basis. And what they're going to want to do is most people will disclose their addresses, right? And as people disclose their addresses, it reduces the anonymity step for everyone else, right? Like if like one of your friends discloses an address and like 2 years ago you transacted with him to like buy him a beer or something.
Yeah, it's like sharing your DNA with 23andMe. You're fucking over everybody else.
Everyone else too, not just yourself.
Yeah.
So it's important that like when you're pulling out of KYC exchanges and anything that's linked to your identity, you take precautions, right? And right now the easiest precaution to take is to use Wasabi Wallet, just because it's super user friendly and accessible to pretty much everyone. Yeah.
No, and this was actually sparked another, not this Canadian Revenue Service incident in particular, but the Coinbase discussion around Neutrino sort of sparked a conversation on Twitter. I believe Pierre and Francis Poulet were talking about it. Like, what are these exchanges legally obligated to collect, like from users? Because we had the case in the Netherlands last couple weeks ago where nefarious actors identified a crypto trader, a Bitcoin trader. And
we don't know if it was. We still don't know if it. Like I saw that in the ban. We don't know for sure. We know he was a crypto trader. We don't know if it was necessarily
an exchange link.
It probably was, but we don't know if it was necessarily crypto related. It could have just been.
Am I spreading fake news that I'm decrying?
It wasn't in English. First of all, the one story about it.
Yeah.
And we don't know what they took or what exactly happened there. We just know he was a crypto trader and he was violently robbed.
Yeah. Tortured him in front of his like little daughter.
Yeah, it's fucked
up.
It's
fucked. No, but that does beg, like, I can't answer this off the like I don't know what exchanges are legally obligated to extract from users in the form of personal identification, but especially with this stuff, like especially with home address, like the home address shit and the phone numbers and all that shit.
It's the same thing with like these. Like, you think the Canadian government can keep this shit safe? Like, they can't keep it safe. Like, having a database of all of your citizens' holdings and where they live and shit is like horrible. It's like absolute horrible. And I don't trust them at all with securing it, even if they mean the best intentions, which they don't. As far as we never really talked about, it happened in between when we last recorded, was the Coinbase rep accidentally leaking that they were having issues with, it seems like, chain analysis.
That were leaking
she
data.
Said selling customer data.
Yeah.
And what they mean by that is the way these chain analyst companies work is there's like a give and take agreement where basically they're providing a data set that includes people from other exchanges and stuff, addresses linked to people basically. Yes. And they're using that in their product.
Yeah, so as Coinbase interacts with these chain analysis companies, the one in particular that they're trying to get away from, it seems, that company was just able to throw that data into their models and use those models with other exchanges.
Right, and then they sell that product to other exchanges. They're like, we can identify who people are who are sending things, right? But they're not exactly selling the direct data set.
Exactly.
And the scary thing here is that all of these exchanges, or pretty much all of the fiat exchanges are doing it. And to go back to the Pierre point, they probably in a lot of situations aren't required to do it. They're going like above and beyond because they're so scared of getting fucked. But I think that's...
Do people need to stand up, though? Do you think we need a corporate stance or a stance in the corporate world?
It's good that we fight back on this stuff. Look, delete Coinbase worked. Everyone said it wasn't going to work. They announced that they're going to fire the hacking team guys or whatever. Hopefully the hacking team guys will be angry about it, and then we'll hack them. But
no, we don't want Coinbase to get hacked. We're not trying to say that.
We should fight back. Like, you should be angry. You should do social pressure and whatnot. But the thing is, even if these exchanges aren't required to do this data collection, if they don't do it, then the laws will be passed that will require them to do it, right? Yeah. Like, a lot of it is because it's new. So if you need to make it so that it's in the books that they legit have to do it, all you need is one of these big exchanges not to do it, right? And then it'll become in the books,
right? Didn't what did I read? Was this? I'm trying to remember if this was. No, it's not. But I was thinking of the Coin Center piece that dropped today. It has to do with something completely different. But it is an interesting problem we find ourselves in. Like, I mean, that's the heavy topic of this podcast, is keeping your data secure in this world, on the internet in particular. And I think we need to have the open conversation, especially around Bitcoin exchanges. It takes it to a whole nother level with money and bearer assets in particular. Like, you should think about people's safety over Orwellian oversight.
Well, I mean, you said it well on the bend. Like, all this is a temporary issue.
Right.
Like, we just need. It's only an issue for these exchanges that are they're fiat on ramps, off ramps, and they're a temporary stopgap thing until everyone's using Bitcoin and you don't need to go in between fiat, right?
Yeah.
And until then, I think we said on a previous pod, you have like maybe 1-2 KYC services that you have to trust because you have no choice. It's the easiest way to get in and out, unless you use something like BISC or like local Bitcoins or, and then you use Wasabi or you disconnect your connections. You use CoinJoin to disconnect your connections to that particular exchange, and then hopefully in the future we'll get better privacy guarantees. Like, really, the solution here isn't social pressure. The solution here is to make it so chain analysis and similar companies like Neutrino and stuff can't fucking track us to begin with, right? And, because of these topics, we've had a lot of talk about privacy, Wasabi, VPNs, Tor, a lot of these things that I don't think are talked about enough. And I love that because these are the teachable moments that we were talking about with Murad, where I was like, every time you have these privacy situations, you have the ability to convert like a couple people. But one of the issues with all this right now, and I see this firsthand as like, people ask me questions in my DMs and Telegram and Keybase, like, because all those are open. If any of you ever have any questions, just reach out. Don't get angry at me if I don't respond for a couple of days, but I will respond. Is that using Bitcoin privately right now is more of an art than a science.
Right.
There's so much nuance to it. There's so many different independent little things that you have to do as an individual to tailor to yourself, to tailor to your threat model. Who are you worried about? Who are you trying to protect yourself from? What trade-offs do I have? What drawbacks do I have? It's way more an art than a science. It's very hard for someone to say, do this is the way you should do it, follow these steps. And that's where increasing Bitcoin's privacy guarantees, that's why it's important, because we need to make it so that it's very easy, very straightforward, not nuanced on how to be private with this shit. And then it's a long way to go. It's we're not that close.
Yeah. Slowly but surely, brick by brick. Again, we're only a decade in. We still have a lot to get done in terms of fungibility and scalability in particular.
I mean, the other issue is like for someone like me, like, I'm trying to educate people on this. We're both trying to educate people on this. And at the same time, we're trying not to hurt our privacy too much, right? Not to talk about exactly how we do things, what our processes are, and what we take. And we're not anons either, right? So, like, for instance, like today, like, I'm telling people, like, if you don't take your privacy back, like, you're gonna have to disclose all your addresses, right? And like, people are messaging me like, Matt, are you advocating breaking the law? Like, no, I'm not advocating breaking the law. Like, you have to be very. There's so much nuance here. It makes it so much more difficult. Like, it needs to be more straightforward. Wasabi's making it a lot better. I'm really excited about all the things that have been happening with Wasabi Wednesday. It seems like we're starting to hit more of a critical mass.
Have people been participating?
Yeah. I mean, look, the default and the default mixing round amount, like the amount of participants in the mixing round, No Power keeps increasing it. Wasabi keeps increasing the amount as more people join. Mixes are going through quicker. Volume is picking up. The more people that use it, the more private it gets. We've seen the hashtag take off. We got a little treat for you guys next week. We have No Para Adam of Wasabi. He's going to come on for Wasabi Wednesday next week for a special RHR, so that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's going to join us. We're going to jump in to Wasabi and dive deeper into this topic of privacy.
In general, yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
Dude, I respect a ton, and it'd just be great to have him on.
Right. I'm pumped for that as well. So that's next Wednesday that'll be dropping. So So participate in Wasabi Wednesdays if you haven't already.
It's wasabiwallet.io. It's available on all different platforms. I mean, look, unless you guys are a new listener, you've heard us shill this a million times.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. It is a hot wallet. You know, your computer's connected to the internet, so send batches through it. You know, don't put all your funds in it at once. It is connected to the internet. But I have been, full disclosure, I've been using Wasabi, you know, since this came out, no problem. Yeah.
What was the problem when
Every 24/7, I've been using Wasabi like 24/7 since fucking August. So like, what's your excuse, guys? Come on, get to it.
What was the problem when like in one of their text bars when people would type Chinese characters would come up?
Oh, that was just like a little joke that they put in.
Mm-hmm. People did not like it.
They liked it. They like it because it. Forget their reasoning around it. It was actually like a pretty good reason. It was.
We can ask Nopara next week.
Yeah, it was a pretty good reason. It was an having different types of characters was an advantage from a UX perspective, because it shows different Chinese characters instead of just star for your password. But I guess like if you spoke Chinese, it was like stupid like Westerner doesn't know how to speak Chinese or something is what it says when you type it out.
That's funny. No, yeah. So be on the lookout next week for Wasabi Wednesday. We'll have Nopara spitting all privacy knowledge. Next topic: Ripple and FinCEN. They're, I guess the documents from the case FinCEN brought against Ripple Labs have dropped. It doesn't seem good. It seems like the government was pretty easily able to coerce Ripple Labs to sort of give up information and.
They have to track everything. Ripple's tracking everything for FinCEN.
Yeah, they're tracking everything.
So it goes hand in hand with what we said before. They basically, like, think of it like they have like a huge ass Excel table, and every single time they connect a Ripple address to like a phone number or person, stuff like that, they just keep track of it, and then they can de-anonymize as many people as possible.
How many people are using Ripple?
Like 15 people or something like that. They all have like 100 bot accounts each.
Right.
I don't know, man. Fucking, but this is what happens if your network is centralized, if you prioritize fast and free transactions, your network is going to be centralized. And if your network is centralized, I mean, Ripple didn't even try to not be. They just were centralized from the start. But if your network is centralized, there's somewhere where they could put pressure on. They're going to put pressure on you, and they're going to regulate your chain. Like that's the end. That's the end days of every single chain that prioritizes fast and cheap transactions over censorship resistance and distribution. Right? You want it to be as distributed as possible.
Right. And I've actually heard stories of people trying to like run a Ripple node and Ripple Labs having to literally send them a USB with the blockchain on it because they couldn't.
Yeah, our buddy they sent him like what, 3 terabytes on
SSDs. I think 4 terabytes.
Yeah, and FedEx. It was
that's how they're spreading their chain around the world.
Yeah, you gotta distribute the blockchain through FedEx. Yeah, I mean Ripple is a fucking joke. So.
All right, Twitter engagement, man. It's at 2015 levels. What does that? What does that say, man? What does that say? Nobody's interested.
Okay, so this is the second time it got posted. Murad posted it a month ago, okay? It's BitInfo's chart that they have this chart that's supposed to show Bitcoin tweets. No one really knows exactly what it's tracking. There's some people are guessing it's tracking hashtag Bitcoin. It's not tracking any just regular Bitcoin mentions or anything like that. And the chart shows that engagement on Twitter, mentions of Bitcoin and stuff are lower than 2015 levels.
Well, I'm interested to see if it's like the cash tags, because I remember back in 2015, 2014, like the cash tags were like a lot of
like cash BTC or whatever.
Yeah, and the cash tags don't come up as often as they do.
Well, there was also like a ton of bots and shit, right? That would just like auto if this then that like post stuff. But that's all besides the point, because we don't know how they tracked it in 2015. We don't know how they track it today. All I know is that we were around in 2015. Not only was 2015 way deader than today across all platforms.
It was dead.
Twitter hadn't really taken off as a Bitcoin crypto platform yet. most of the discussions were happening on Reddit and IRC and Bitcoin Talk.
And
so
Bitcoin Twitter was probably crypto Twitter back then. It was all traders. from what
right,
I
it was
remember.
it was mostly altcoin traders and stuff. And like I had a thread today where like I brought up old tweets that are still there today from like Vitalik and Charlie Lee and stuff. And I purposely did like non-necessarily Bitcoin people, but you know, big follower accounts that had like no engagement. You know, like Vitalik is like he quote tweets Zuku, and he has like 3 retweets, 7 likes, and no replies. And it's not like those are just 2015's engagement. That's all the engagement on that 2015 tweet to today, right? Like that tweet's existed for 4 years, and engagement was so low back then that he got no fucking replies, not even a fucking bot. So like it's not even close. It's way off. The chart is like extremely misleading.
This gets Matt riled up, freaks.
Well, because it was really
He's
funny 'cause,
enraged
like,
right now.
The whole reason I took the lightning torch to begin with was because Murad posted this fucking chart in February. And so like the first thing I did was I just replied to him Bitcoin. And then do you remember like a bunch of people replied Bitcoin. I got like 55 different responses to that one tweet that was just people replying Bitcoin. Chart didn't move a fucking inch, right? Then passed the torch to the CEO of Twitter. And he goes on a fucking tear and just goes crazy pro Bitcoin shilling all over, right?
Yeah, now he's buying $10,000 a week.
Chart didn't move at fucking all.
Just kidding.
Right? Gets a Casa HODL node. Uses Satoshi Dice. You know, does stacking sats. Chart doesn't move at all. So it's highly questionable. And then at the same time, like the level of engagement that these tweets are getting that are, you know, like Murad's original tweet got like 1,000 likes. You know, Alex Kruger, who's the one who posted it today, like he got like 250 likes, like 60 responses, like 35 retweets. Like that would have been insane engagement in fucking 2000. Just the engagement they get on the tweet saying that there is no engagement compared to 2015 proves that there's like way more fucking engagement than 2015.
Right. This is a topic that's dear to Matt's heart.
Like you guys kind of know how it feels to live in 2015, but like no, you don't.
No.
You know, and anyone who was there knows that it was fucking dead.
It's pre-Rage Quit, right?
What?
It was Rage Quit January 2016 or
Rage Quit?
2015? Yeah. It's 2016, I think, right? I think it might have been.
I don't know. January 2015 was the bottom.
All right, that was when. That
it was like
it
right
then.
around there. He like
Yeah.
did it like right low.
It was
right?
2015 then,
It was
yeah.
like he did it at like the worst possible time. I mean, like he's always gonna. Mike Hearn will always have the best Rage Quit. Like I don't think Kevin Pham can ever compete with him. on
Bitcoin
that-
is a
in that
failed
regard.
experiment.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the title of his blog
Yeah.
post?
Then he joined R3 and like where the fuck is R3 now, right?
Nowhere to be seen. Next topic. AB Core. Version 0.70 is out. AB Core is a cool project that Udi
And Larry Bitcoin.
and Larry Bitcoin are working on. Udi Werthmeyer. And this basically allows you to run nodes on Android devices, Bitcoin nodes.
Yeah, you had like an old phone or like the Android TV boxes you can get for mad cheap, like $50-$60 or whatever. You can run this. It's a version of Bitcoin Core that runs on Android.
Yeah, so shout out to those two for putting the team on their backs and putting this out. That's pretty dope.
It's a fun way to. It's a fun way to have like a cheap node. It's a nice way to have a cheap full node.
Helping out on the quest for further decentralization. Decentralization is a scale, and it's an ideal that you strive for. This helps us get a little closer to that ideal, I would argue.
There you go.
Next topic.
Oh, by the way, we're drinking tequila courtesy of the Mammadov brothers. Mammadov brothers, Masir and Murat.
Shout out to the Mammadov brothers. Strong bloodline you got there, boys.
This
And
is fucking delicious tequila. They got us very, very nice tequila.
It is good tequila. We got new drinking glasses here at Tales from the Crypt, too. Mrs. Marty put the team on her back. QE NERP. A lot of people talking about NERP these days. Draghi came out, or Draghi's not there anymore. Somebody at the ECB came out and said that negative interest rates. Draghi is still there. Negative interest rates are going very well in some countries. Obviously, the IMF has that blog that I wrote about a couple weeks ago. It's basically explaining how we can get to a cashless society.
Ban cash,
Ban
negative
cash.
interest rates.
And then I guess the Fed chairman Williams commented on it too. It just seems like the talk of negative interest rate policies is heating up, and I've been warning about this. I've been sounding the alarm bells. This is not very good. This is not something we should be striving for. It's an essential tax on your deposits. It disencourages or dissuades people from saving, stuff like that. But it seems like there's a coordinated effort by the basically the banking industry, more importantly, like the IMF, the World Bank, the ECB, the important decision makers in the banking world are trying to normalize negative interest rate policies. This is why we Bitcoin freaks. This is why I Bitcoin, at least.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the core of the Bitcoin thesis, right? The core of the Bitcoin long-term thesis.
Yeah. No, this goes back to the sovereign individual. Like when they predicted it, they said it's going to get to a point where citizens demand an asset through which they can protect their wealth against overarching and overbearing governments who have an insatiable thirst for money and money spending in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think this path is inevitable. They have no other path forward, really, right? And it shows how inevitable it is that they're actually talking about it, because for a long time this was stuff that just was reserved for the pages of Zero Hedge or
right
conspiracy theorists with tinfoil hats and stuff. So
it's becoming a thing.
When a Reuters reporter, tweets it out in all caps, like then it's real.
Right. So be aware. Keep following that trend. Again, macro is a theme on this podcast, this rabbit hole recap in particular. And if you take a look at the macro scene right now, it's pretty frothy. I mean, we've been saying this for a while.
But, like, this is part of the thing, right? Like, if they're going to ban cash or, like, dissuade the use of cash to the point where it's effectively banned, institute negative interest rates, like, of course they're going to put laws on the books that say you have to disclose all your addresses.
Right.
The key is that, if you handle it properly, like, they won't know unless you want them to.
Well, they shouldn't even be able to. That's the fucked up thing, is that people would so willingly give up this shit. Like, people have to realize that it is so bad that it's gotten to this point that they're trying to get every fucking cent and Satoshi they can out of you because they fucked up basically the funding machine for all their vast projects around the world, whether it be war or social programs. And now they want to tax you automatically. When you get a direct deposit into your account with negative interest rate policy, you get basically, essentially, it's not a direct tax, but it is essentially a tax on your hard-earned money right away.
They're just following their incentives, Marty.
It's true.
You can't be mad at humans when they act greedy or when they act in their own self-interest. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is we just expect it to happen.
That's true. That is true.
Plan for it.
Yeah, but make people aware of this, freaks. Sound the alarm to the people in your lives that you care about. Next topic, BlockFi. Crypto Twitter blowing up. Obviously, disclaimer, they've been
oh my God.
A sponsor of this podcast in the past, very recently. But they released an interest rate product, or Bitcoin. Excuse me. They released a product that allows you to earn interest on your Bitcoin if you store it on BlockFi.
Right. It's not a savings account.
No.
That some pubs called it a savings account. People called it a savings account. It's not a savings account. Our buddy,
I don't know who you're thinking of.
Fuck. Okay, anyway, someone's described it very good on Twitter. He said it's like a junk bond. You think of it like a bond.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the yield is, you're basically paying on the risk of them, on them defaulting.
Yeah. No, it's a good analogy. I mean, it sounds like a good analogy to me. And I think the biggest sort of cause of controversy was they released their terms and were very transparent about exactly what they're doing, and were basically made it known, like, hey, it is possible that we could get hacked or become insolvent. And
right, that was Jeff Vandrew who did that, our buddy Jeff.
Yeah.
Vandrew CPA, I think.
Oh, yeah.
What's his... Vandrew Watt CPA. Watty CPA. Great.
Let's throw him in the show notes. But yeah, so they released their report, and it's sort of up in the air. this is not in my risk appetite, this product, so I haven't done
I'm not going to use it.
I haven't done insane due diligence on it. But speaking of due diligence, like people are freaking out about their terms of service, and I just got a little chuckle because this risk exists across every exchange and service that you use in crypto, and they just wrote it on paper and just like made it known to people like this can't happen, and
Well, they
people
literally
freak the
wrote.
fuck out.
They literally wrote. They literally wrote the word rehypothecation on the. They're like,
Oh, they
we might
did?
rehypothecate. So
That's not good.
yeah, but I mean, they were like trying to trigger Caitlin Long, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're disclosing all this stuff. That's what the rate is there for. If people don't use it, the rate will go up.
Yeah.
If people use it, the rate will go down.
Yeah,
It's a market derived rate, and it's an option for people. And
It depends what your risk appetite is.
and it's not like you're putting all your money in it or you're putting none of your money in it. Like some people might choose to put a little bit in. It is a privacy hole as well. Like as we were talking about before, like you're going to link those transactions to you. You have to pay taxes on the interest.
Yeah, you're
that
going to
you
have to pay taxes on it too. So all decisions that should go into your model of whether or not you engage with this product.
So those addresses you will definitely have to disclose to the government because they know you're making profit off of them as well.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not in my risk appetite right now. I'm not locking Bitcoin up on a centralized third party at the moment.
But I think it's still a big deal. It's a good option, you know. And I have to say that I love Bitcoiners. I love how a new product gets announced.
They're immediately
and
skeptical
like
beyond belief.
50% are like super excited, and then 50% are like, this company should burn in hell. They're going to take all of our Bitcoin.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I don't think BlockFi is going to do anything nefarious or lose anybody's Bitcoin. It's just like
Well, they might.
it could.
You're
don't think
taking
it's
that
gonna
risk,
happen. I
and
don't
they're
think
not
it's gonna
liable for it.
Yeah.
They're not liable for it. I think that's a difference, right? Than an exchange. Like right now, the de facto accepting thing for exchanges is that they're supposed to be full reserve. There's no exchanges out there that are like, we're not full reserve.
Yeah, and then insuring your reserves is a fucking headache and a half, from what I understand.
This is not insured.
Yeah, nothing.
And they're storing with Gemini.
Yeah,
Gemini handles all. So a lot of the disclosures is because they have to handle it with Gemini.
yeah. But again, like that's with these sort of disclosure documents too. I actually experienced this when I worked at the hedge fund. Like the concept of abundance of caution. Like when you're making these reports or these disclosure reports, especially as a financial institution, you basically exercise what's called an abundance of caution, where you basically try to make it as transparent as possible. Say every fucking possibility that could happen with the funds while you have custody of them as a financial service provider. And actually, like, so when I worked at Dearborn Capital Management in Chicago, Bloomberg actually came out with a hit piece on the president of the fund I worked for, Dave Kavanaugh, because he exercised an abundance of caution in our DDQ and basically said, yes, I'm a registered trader on the CBOT and the CME. Like, it is possible for me to trade against the fund, like if I wanted to put trades in just as an individual. And a bunch of publications took that and ran at, like, Dave was actively trading against our fund, which couldn't be further from the truth. He was just exercising an abundance of caution to make it known, hey, this is possible. And I think that's a similar situation you find BlockFi in. So just from being close to a similar situation like that, like I would not assume nefarious intentions off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they mean bad. They have a very extensive disclosure, which is what you want to see, not what you don't want to see. But you also want to see Bitcoiners get angry about disclosures when they disclose certain things that
Exactly.
are very questionable. And then the other thing is, it seems like their main client on the other side, right? The people who are taking the borrowed Bitcoin are short sellers, right? So there is the argument to be made here that in times of high Bitcoin price appreciation, their short sellers get fucked, and then they end up, not having full reserves,
Yeah.
and then you end up getting a haircut on your Bitcoin or losing your Bitcoin. And part of the Bitcoin thesis is that at any point, the price could just go crazy on you and just get out of control, and you can't get back in.
Yeah.
So that's why I personally, that long tail risk, like I would never be comfortable doing that for just 6%. And you're trading in, privacy elements. But like I said, people
Some people might, and the market will dictate where that fucking interest rate is. Like if they can't attract people, they're gonna have to raise the rate. If they can attract people, then the rate goes down.
No, yeah, exactly. And like you said, like you love Bitcoiners, and I do too. I actually wrote about this week. Like no one's beyond reproach. Like you should be criticizing everybody.
Look, we made Coinbase bend the knee.
Exactly. Again.
I love when they bend the knee. It's the best.
No, but yeah. But also with that being said, it's like, all right, like it's a nah, never mind. I'm not gonna get into that. But yeah, so BlockFi has that. It's an interesting product. It's not in my risk appetite personally right now. But yeah, they disclosed their transparency report yesterday and people freaked out.
I did like how like Zach from BlockFi and stuff,
Yeah.
Zach Prince was like out there responding to criticisms and talking to people. He's a very accessible person.
Yeah. I like
They mean well for the ecosystem. They're trying to make the ecosystem grow. And
Yeah, exactly. I love Zach's been on this podcast. Go listen to the episode.
He's been on every podcast. But yeah, your episode with him was very good.
We already talked about Coinbase bending the knee. We talked about that in the beginning. Facebook privacy bullshit. Facebook's going fully private. Did you hear
Bullshit.
that? Did you hear that?
Did you see the end of that bullshit though? Yeah,
Yes.
they want to do like they basically want to do the Telegram model, I would say, of social networks, where like you move more to like group chats that are encrypted, right?
Yeah, and it seems like they're condensing the messaging platforms from Instagram
Right.
and Facebook together.
And WhatsApp.
And WhatsApp.
All three of their major messaging platforms, Facebook, Insta, WhatsApp combined is like 2.6 billion or something, and they want you to message across them. One of our listeners pointed out that like if they were going to go the wallet approach, like integration would be the first step, right? Because you don't want to roll out different wallets for like Facebook and stuff if you're
Yeah.
going to implement it in a messenger. We're going to link to a great thread by Sarah Lewis, I think her name is. She's a privacy proponent. She runs OpenPriv.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how most of this, it's still a good step forward, I would say, but most of this is bullshit, right? Most of this is they're going to encrypt the independent conversations, but they're going to still try and monetize metadata and all this other shit. I mean, look, that their whole business has been invading our privacy. How do they, you're only an idiot if you just take them at face value when they say that they're going to become more private of a company, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll ever regain my trust.
I mean, I would have to create a new account because I've deleted it already, so we'll see.
Yeah, I deleted mine as well.
And then on top of that, like 3 days before they announced that, it came out that the two-factor that they push people into, which is
sharing their phone numbers with everybody.
Yeah,
Are you
they just
fucking
combined it
kidding me?
into their database. They just threw it into their database. And we all know about SIM swapping and shit in this industry. Like, that's a huge security risk for people who use Facebook.
Right? And that's another thing. Twitter, stop asking me for my phone number, please. I'll put that out there. Jack, if you're listening.
I was glad you asked Jack about that. That was good. Because, like, we need to protect. Like, if NIMS, if you can't use Twitter, like, pretty much anonymously, like, it's over. It's the network is dead, and then we move to something else.
I would like not to move to something else, but if we have to.
Oh, but anyway, on that
will.
note, with the two-factor, it's just always important to talk about. Use an app.
Yes.
Use one of the app-based ones. If you have an Android, you can use. There's a couple good open source ones on F-Droid.
Get a YubiKey if you can, if you want
yeah.
to take it to another level.
Yeah, but I think when you start threat modeling, like people getting hacked, having the cell phone app route, it's like that never happens to anyone. They're too busy SIM swapping everyone else.
I agree with that, but like I couldn't write the bent first time I fucking missed a bent in my life.
But if you're app based, you don't need the internet. How did that happen?
So exactly? So what happened? I was in the air. I bought like the $30 Wi-Fi on United on my laptop, and went to sign into MailChimp. Had my 2FA come up, and went to go to my 2FA app, and it had to be updated. So
so it was just bad timing.
It's horrible timing. Yeah, but
because
like
usually the app works completely offline. You could be in airplane
Exactly.
mode. You can be in whatever.
it works offline. But there's one instance I had to update it, and I'm like 40,000 feet in the air. I wound up buying Wi-Fi for my cell phone so I could update it, and then the Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough to update it.
Well, they block updating apps. They
Oh,
only
they
let
do?
you do certain things.
So that's what it was.
They block VPNs and
Yeah.
stuff.
So I was like in the air. I was like, fuck. I wish I had a YubiKey right now. It would be a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like the one.
Yeah, it was
like
one
the
instance.
One kind of situation. I mean, just use the app based. If you want to do the YubiKey, fine, absolutely, it can't hurt. But the app based is a whole lot better than phone. To the point where having a phone number on these accounts a lot of times, even if you have the app set up, having the phone still linked can fuck you because a lot of the password reset, authenticator reset goes through the phone. So they like still, even if you have the app base, they like, so like you have to like actively remove your phone number from a lot of these services. Get a burner phone.
Yeah.
Use Google Voice. It's such a mess. This is what I'm talking about. Like privacy.
It's such a mess, dude.
It's more of an art than a science, and it's like kind of it makes it so fucking difficult to talk about.
Maybe that's the industry of the future, fixing all of our data problems. But again, we've been talking about this forever. Nobody cares. Speaking of database leaks, China had a huge surveillance database leak.
DNA, fingerprints,
Everything.
facial recognition.
Yeah. So you could basically clone all of China right now if you wanted to.
I don't think the tech is there yet.
I mean, that's a big one, nation state level. So you have that. Like China is, like, I would say, on like a polar end of the privacy spectrum, being completely Orwellian. Obviously, they have their social credit system, all that, and obviously, it's a huge honeypot for a lot of very personal data, as personal as the chemical makeup of your being. And you have countries like India who are trying to get into biometrics, and slowly but surely, there's dominoes falling on that.
I mean, in America, we have problems here with privacy and all this stuff, right? They're doing the thing is, China's just the most aggressive. Like,
right?
what China's doing today is the end game of all these different countries.
Of every country, or
Most of them. I mean,
Yeah.
there'll probably be some that are like more privacy preserving. I was actually thinking the other day, like the best countries to be in like I will be the ones where you can wear a burqa in, right? Because then you can't do facial recognition even if they want to. But I think they want all this information. They want all the identifiers, and they're slowly going to just keep adding identifiers on, right? So face recognition, fingerprints.
UTXOs.
Yeah, UTXOs like we talked about today, addresses and IP addresses. And
Yeah. God. Stop fucking snooping, please.
it's so messy. It's just really – we need open – and like –
We need people to sack the fuck up and be like, hey, every government around the world, you're pretty much impeding on everybody's God-given right to liberty and freedom.
This is
Can you
why,
please chill out? Can people wake up and like stop watching the Oscars and start yelling at these world leaders, please?
This is why the
fucking watching that stupid pussy bachelor jump over a fence.
This is why the most important mission here is to further open systems, open software, open networks, open hardware. We need as much of this stuff as open as possible so people can actually interact privately, can interact, with some semblance of privacy. Facial recognition, though, is one of those things that is just, we're fucked.
Are we going to have to get face tattoos?
No, I
like glitter paint ourselves before we walk out of the door?
I mean, like, have you've traveled out of the country recently?
It's been a few months.
Like, even our government scans our face now when we go in and out. They
Yeah.
scan everyone else's.
Yeah, you have to take that.
And then I got
picture.
to China. They scanned my face, right? You're like walking down to the subway, like they scan your face. Like almost everyone has pictures online with their faces on it, and we can't get away with it. Away from it. It's our face. Like you can't change faces yet. Hopefully.
We got to get to a Minority Report level to do that.
So like I'm super freaked out about the facial recognition is going to be like a major, like when you land in a new country in 5 years, 10 years, you're going to land. They're going to do a facial recognition of your face. They're going to know like your Bitcoin addresses. They're going to know where you live. They're going to know your age. They're going to know your occupation. They might know your DNA. They might know your fingerprints. they might know if any like siblings did anything bad. Then they have all the sibling stuff, like crazy. Just the second, literally just the second the camera picks your face up, right? Then all that information they have at their fingertips.
Yeah, again, Minority Report.
That doesn't end well. Like, there's no way that's good.
No. And how do we get, like, again, stop watching The Bachelor, people. Please. Last topic of the day. We're actually pacing very well today. Quadriga CX, complete clusterfuck. They stole all the Bitcoin.
I don't even know where to. Yeah, I think they might have went bankrupt.
No, they were
already
running.
insolvent.
I think it was proven. Yeah, they were insolvent. They were running a fractionally reserved exchange. It just seems as though their cold wallets were drained between 2016 and 2017, I believe.
Well, it came out that he was a BitMEX whale.
Oh, really?
That's what the link I posted today, which continues the clusterfuck. Mike, what's his last name? If you click the link, his last name's there, but his username was Mike XBT. I remember
Michael
him
Patron.
I remember him in the Bitcoin markets threads. He was throwing millions of dollar positions around on BitMEX and bragging about it and shit. So there actually is a theory here. They uncracked the laptop. There's a theory here that there's some money still on other exchanges because they had other exchange accounts and stuff. But either way, most of it is probably lost. And this is just another reminder. Like, that sucks. But, like, it's another reminder of not your keys, not your coins. And this is one of the reasons why people were pushed back on BlockFi so much, right?
Yeah. So this guy die?
I'm not sure which one died. I think, did Cotton die or did he die? Did
No, I don't
Patrons
think.
die
I don't think
one?
Patron's the one who died. I think
Patron's a different. He's like affiliated.
Yeah.
The other guy, it seems like he did die, but he might not have cared about his health as much when he found out that they were insolvent and he was fucked, right?
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't die. Who knows? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Where's the coins? You know, and doesn't seem like there are many, if any.
Yeah. So
That's a shame.
Yeah, heartfelt sorry goes out to any Quadriga users who got scammed there.
You're not gonna let it happen to you again. I'll tell you that much.
No, I learned that lesson once. You only have to learn it once. It's not fun. I've been a part of that stuff. That's the last topic. What do you want to riff on? We got 9 minutes. What else we got? Fidelity. We had a breaking news announcement. You said.
Yeah, we were supposed to add that to the list. It literally just happened.
What?
Fidelity Custody is live.
Officially open. Yeah.
For like beta users, they have like eligible
Galaxies.
high net worth people that are involved.
Yeah, Galaxy's like one of the
Bitcoin
first.
only right now. Is Fidelity the largest manager of money in the
I think so.
the world? Is that a stat?
I can't speak with certainty on that stat.
They're massive though.
Yeah, they are massive.
Right? They have large amounts of money under management.
Yeah.
And they now have Bitcoin custody in beta.
Right.
No other coins, just Bitcoin right now.
No, yeah, and I think they mentioned in that announcement too they were going to add Ethereum, but are not comfortable enough with the sort of
Like the roadmap.
the
basically.
roadmap, yeah, the unfinished roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, Coinbase wrote like a clickbait article about it today. Fidelity is not accepting Ethereum because of uncertainty or whatever. But yeah, like they don't know what's going to happen. So like, I mean, that this is the argument we've made with Bitcoin for like the longest time, but mostly about miners and stuff. But industry participants want to know that they have something that is that they can be comfortable with knowing. Well, in 5 years, I can still access my funds. I can still, nothing major will change. I'll be able to.
Do you know if they have like multi-sig setups for their custody or?
Look, they've been very savvy. They took the trust chain, the LN chain. Yeah. I know they run their own nodes. We have like tons of respect for Nick, who used to be over there with them, right? So yeah. I imagine they're doing it the right way. They've taken a long time to do it, so I imagine they're doing it the right way, and we'll see. I would not use them either, but there are people that are going to use them. That's the thing, right? Like.
No, this has like been a strong narrative that's been fucking talked about for years now. Is when is the institutional money going to get custody? And it seems like the first domino has fallen. I mean, Gemini and other Bitcoin exchanges have existed, but an incumbent from the traditional financial system taking a big leap like this is incredible to see. Your mention of the Lightning Network torch actually piqued my interest. Is the Lightning Network torch, I believe, between now and the last time we met, went through Iran, and that was a big. Was that between now and the last time we met?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not only did it go to Iran, after Iran, it went to
Israel. Yeah.
And then they tried to get it to Palestine, but I don't think they were able to.
It's crazy. Bitcoin bringing the world together, baby.
Yeah.
But was that illegal?
Well, no, it was a
It went from Wales
Yeah.
to Iran.
right. So I don't know if they have sanctions.
I don't know either. Do they have an extradition clause with the U.S.? Or?
Yeah, they definitely have an extradition clause with the U.S. You could just ask the WikiLeaks guy about that.
Julian Assange?
Assange, yeah. But yeah, I mean, who knows? It just shows the power of Bitcoin
Right?
that you can't stop us even.
And that's one thing I write about in the Benel. I was like, that's what I hate about, again, the macro geopolitics that go on where politicians are just screaming at each other, politicians from different countries screaming at each other, but the individuals in these countries are good people. Like that, the Iranian dude that took the torch, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's been providing good information on Bitcoin on Twitter for a while. And
Oh yeah,
he's
like
just-
Zaya. His name
yeah,
is Zaya.
Zaya seems like a chill dude.
He seems badass.
Yeah. But just because he lives in Iran, us Americans, we're not allowed to like him, Matt.
Well, we're definitely not allowed to send him money. Like I love you, Zaya. Like I'm not in a non-account on Twitter. Like I can't send you a Lightning transaction.
Yeah. It's a shame.
You know, like maybe I would do it behind closed doors, possibly. You know, I'm not going to advocate for that, but not on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it happened. I'm really glad it happened.
It's cool to see it go to Israel right after.
Yeah, it was huge. I
Yeah.
think gave us like a nice little bit of good press too, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
But that's what Bitcoin's about, right? Breaking down borders. Borders don't exist.
Yeah.
As far as financial
On the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do exist in real life.
Yeah, they are a real thing.
Yeah, that's all we got for this week, freaks. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Rabbit Hole Recap. It's been a fun week. I haven't slept that much. A lot of adrenaline pumping. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with Jack. Share it with your friends and family. If you're liking Tales from the Crypt and Rabbit Hole Recap in particular, smash that subscribe button. Share it with somebody. Retweet it. Write a review if you feel so inclined. We got some big plans. Matt and I were spitballing before this. We got some interesting things coming out for you freaks in the next couple months. I know we teased that in the beginning of the year, but now the ball really is rolling.
Well, I think we've been successful at so far
Yeah.
bringing that to them.
Yeah.
You know, since the beginning of the year. But we have even bigger things coming, and I'm really excited for next week. We're gonna have Wasabi Wednesday with the creator of Wasabi. Like, he's badass.
Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely tune in for that one. I'm pumped to speak to Nopar. I don't think I ever have spoken to Nopar directly other than DMs.
As a prep, you should listen to his Stefan Livera Wasabi. He has a pod with Stefan Livera. So if you feel so inclined, you should probably listen to that before you listen.
Yeah, definitely check that out. That's a
Next
good one. And then the Samurai Wallet Dev.
Also on Stefan.
Yeah, also
that
Stefan.
was a good one. Too.
Another good one too. I think they're back to back. All right. Thanks for joining us this week, freaks. Got any last words, Matt?
Stay humble, stack sats.
Peace and love.